Awesome. So if you are doing this assignment, it means there are just a few things you missed. So it's really good to have to go over this again. Okay. So it says Kent mixed oil and gas for his lawnmower. He mixed 8 fluid ounces of oil for every 1 gallon of gas. Which of the following statements must be true? So what do we know? We know he mixed 8 fluid ounces for every 1 gallon. And we're trying to find, select true statements. Which means there's only one answer. So now I'm going to create some type of organized model to show my work. So we're talking about ounces to gallons. I always want to start with the ratio that I already have. 8 fluid ounces for 1 gallon. Now I would use process of elimination to see which one is true. So A says 2 gallons, 16. B says, and for every 3 gallons, you use 3/8. C says 5 gallons, 40. D says every fluid ounce, which means for every 1 fluid ounce, 1/8. E says every 40 fluid ounces, 10. And F says for every 10, use 1 1/4. So we want to compare all of these answer choices to the original ratio or to itself, right? To ones that are correct. So you're comparing everything from the original ratio. To get from 1 gallon to 2, you multiply times 2. To get from 8 to 16, you multiply times 2. Thus, A is correct. To get from 1 to 3, you multiply times 3. But get from 8 to 3, you don't multiply by 3. You divide. You divide 3 divided by 8, but you don't multiply 8 times 3. 8 times 3 is 24. That is incorrect. Um, so you get from 1 to 5, you multiply times 5. To get from 8 to 40, you multiply times 5. Thus, that is correct. To get from 1 to 1/8, you divide by 8. And 8 divided by 8 is 1, so that is also correct. To get from 1 to 10, you multiply times 10. To get from 8 to 40, you multiply that times 5, so that is incorrect. To get from 8 to 10, let's see. it is 10 divided by 8. You get from 1 to 1 and 1/4. See, this is the hardest. This is the one that I'm not 100% sure. Um, so what do I know about 1 and 1/4? I could turn it into an improper fraction. 4 times 1 is 4. This one is 5/4. Um, to get from 8 to 10, you multiply by something, but to get from 10 to 8, you divide 10 divided by 4. You multiply down. Well, you multiply up, you divide down. So to get from 10 to 8, this is a tricky one. You divide 10 by 8, and you're trying to see if that is equivalent to 5/4. Get from 8 to 4, you divide by 2. To get from 10 to 5, you divide by 2. Since they divide by the same number, it is also equivalent. So equivalent answers are A, C, D, and F. Go to the next problem. Well, go ahead and pause. A problem that you need to really focus in on is this. Like how did I do that? To get from 8 to 10, I know I have to multiply by something, but if I don't know what I'm multiplying to get from 8 to 10, I can divide to 10 by 8 because it's the same thing. Same thing with here. I don't know what I'm multiplying to get from 1 to 1/4, but I know 1 and 1/4 to 1 is to divide by 1 and 1/4. And I could turn that into an improper fraction to determine like if it's the same answer. Sherry walks 5 blocks to school each morning. The walk takes 10 minutes. Choose yes or no to tell the unit rates. So I know Sherry, right? S walks 5 blocks and it takes 10 minutes. I'm finding um yes or no. Um select all, which means I have to answer all problems. Just like this one, I want to start off by writing what's my ratio. My ratio is, I'm talking about 5 blocks to 10 minutes. I know I'm comparing blocks to minutes, and I know it's 5 blocks to 10 minutes. I want to highlight my original ratio because I have to compare everything to my original ratio. A says 1 block per half minute. So I know when it's a number near block, I'm going to put that by block for every half minute. B says 1/2 block per 1 minute. 2 minutes for each. I know each means one. And 1 minute every 2 blocks. Well, I know to get from 5 to 1, I divide by 5. 10 divided by 5 is 2. Thus, A is incorrect. So I would put no for A. 10 divided by 1. No, 10 divided by 10 is 1. 5 divided by 5 is 1. Thus, 5 divided by 10 is 1/2. But how do I know? Well, I can check. I know 5 divided by 10 is equivalent to 1/2. So B is correct. 10 divided by 5 is 2. 5 divided by 5 is 1. Thus, they're divided by the same answer. 10 divided by 10 divided by 10 is 1. 5 divided by 10 is 1/2. So that is incorrect. So the answers are B and C. D is incorrect. So B and C are correct. Oh, sorry. Go ahead and pause it if you need to. Rewind if you're curious. Okay. John ran 7 days last week. He ran the same number of miles every day. She ran 28 miles in all. What was Jonna's rate? So the ratio from days to miles is 7 days to 28 miles. I know we're comparing days to miles. My original ratio is 7 days to 28 miles. A says 3 miles per day. So we're talking about miles. I want to put 3 at the miles per day. Always per is 1, so I'll put that. B says 4 miles per day. C says 5 miles per day. And D says 7 miles per day. Um, out of all of these numbers, I know 28 goes into 4 7 times, and 7 divided by 1 is 7. All right. Another way to look at it, I could have did to double check it. I could have did 7 over 28 equals 1 over 4. And to get from 28 to 4, you divide by 7 on both sides, and 7 divided by 1 is 7. Since they're divided by the same number, it is equivalent. So the answer is B. Now put my answer here. Gregory keeps school supplies in his locker. He has 24 pencils and 16 erasers, which is the ratio of pencils to erasers. So I know 24 pencils, and 16 erasers. I'm finding ratio of pencils to erasers. This is the ratio. Like this is the information, but this is the ratio. And the reason why I wrote this down is because it could have easily said there are 16 erasers and 24 pencils. What is the ratio of pencils to erasers? That's a different order. So I want to always follow the order to what I'm finding. So I know there are 24 pencils to 16 erasers. I know in my table, I'm comparing pencils to erasers. And I want to start with my original ratio, which is 24 pencils and 16 erasers. A says, since it says pencils to erasers, I'm following this same order. So the first would always be pencils and the second will always be erasers. So there are 2 pencils to every 3 erasers. B says there are 3 pencils to every 5 erasers. C says there are 3 pencils to every 2 erasers. D says there are 5 pencils to every 3 erasers. Now, we're going from big numbers to smaller numbers, so I now have to divide, and I would need to divide by the same number on both sides. Um, it helps if you see which one is a factor. So I won't really divide 16 by 3 because that'll give me a fraction, which is fine. However, it's easier to look at 24 divided by 24 to 2. 24 divided by 12 is 2. But I know 16 is not divided by 12 to get 3. You understand what I'm saying? So I'm making logical decisions. 5 and 16 are not factors, but 24 and 3 are. 24 divided by 8, right, is 3, but 16 divided by 2, and since that is 2 different numbers, it's not that one. All right, 24 divided by 8, but to get from 16 to 2, you have to divide by 8. Thus, C is the correct answer. So you go ahead and select C, and you put C here, right? Double check just to look at it to get from 24 to 5, 5, 10, 15, 20. 4 and 5/5, 4 and 4/5, 3, 6, 9, 12, 15. That's already 5 groups, so that's already incorrect. Oh, go ahead and go to the next one. A teacher brings 8 birdies, 32 rackets to a physical education class of 30 students. I'm trying to find, so here's talking about 3 different things. I'm trying to find the ratio of birdies to students. I'm so glad I wrote that down because it could have said birdies to rackets, but it said birdies to students. It could have said rackets to students, but that's why my find is important, right? Birdies to students. I know there are 8 birdies to, to 30 students. So I want to create my ratio. Now I'm comparing birdies to students. And I want to start with my original ratio, which is 8 birdies for every 30 students. A Also I always go here. It started with birdies, so every answer choice on this side will be birdies, and every answer choice on the other side will be students. So 4 birdies, 15 students. B, 15 birdies to 16 students. C, 1 birdie to 4 students. D, 4 birdies to 1 student. Well, I can automatically make educational guesses too. I know to get from 8 to 4, you divide by 2. 30 to 15, you also divide by 2. So that is an answer. I love when Akela does that because it lets me know that we're close, right? To get from 8 to 4, divide by 2 to give divide by 2. Um, to get from 8 to 15, you multiply up, but to get from 16 to 30, you divide. So that's incorrect. Divide by 8. 30 to 4, you're going to divide by 7 and 2/4, something like that. To get from 8 to 4, you divide by 2. To get from 30 to 1, you divide by 30. So I know that A is my best answer choice. I did that in like 2 minutes, right? So you just got to put the time in and think about it, and you'll be fine. But make sense out of what you're talking about. Sorry, guys, my light is a little ghetto. Choose less yes or which ratios are equivalent to 2 to 3? Okay, so I know ratios equivalent to 2 to 3. Hmm. Um, I'm finding select all. So I need to like separate this. I know I'm not supposed to write on this side, but for space, right? Um, so I'm gonna start in my original ratio and let's just see. Two, so A, 2 to 3 equals 2 to 1. That's incorrect. B, 2 to 3 is the same as 40 to 60. 2 times 20, 3 times 20. Yeah, B is an option. We know A is a no-go. C, 2 to 3 says birds to lizards when there are 4 birds and 10 total birds. Hmm. Here they say total, which means that I need to write my ratio a little bit differently. So I can write it this way. 2 to 3 to 5. And birds, the total. Um, well, I know to get from 2 to 4 is to multiply by 2. To get from 5 to 10 is to multiply by 2. Thus, to get from here, you got to multiply by 2, which is 6. So actually, C is correct. How did I do that? You know, this is birds, this is lizards, this is total, right? I just figured out, you know, I added my partial sums together to get my total. And I looked to see, like, is the ratio equivalent? It will be, this would be a little bit tough, but you can figure this out. Um, so yes, that is correct. And D, start my original ratio 2 to 3. 3 flowers. Now I would think that this is 2 to 3, but 2 to 3 is what you start with. So for example, if it said ratio of flower beds to rose buds, there are 2 flower beds to 3 rose bushes, that I would have known. But here this says 3 to 2, and that is not the same thing. in the ratio, it has to follow this correct sign. So the answer choices are B and C. Almost done. So Leah's mom brought 6 shirts for $30. So I know 6 shirts cost $30. What is the unit rate of a shirt? Right. So that means like find unit rate for a shirt means the price per one shirt. I know. I'm comparing shirts to cost. And the reason why for this problem, I don't need to do A, B, and C is because I know what I'm finding. I know 6 shirts cost $30. So the only thing I need to find is how much it costs for one shirt. That's it. To get from 6 to 1, I divide by 6. To get from 30, what I do on one side, 30 divided by 6 is 5. So that means one shirt cost $5. Oh, so my answer is B. A bag contains 5 red blocks, 6 yellow, 9 blue. Okay, what am I finding? Ratio. I'm so glad I write this down. Ratio of yellow to total. Based on that find, that tells me that I need a total. You see what I just did? 5 plus 6 is 11. 11 plus 9, total is 20. Right? You guys saw what I just did? I wrote this down, and this is why the find is very important. Also, it says choose all, which means that there's more than one answer. Okay? So I want to write this down. So now I'm comparing all of these answer choices to my answer. And of course, we could do it more one of two ways. The ratio of yellow to total is 6 to 20, or 6 to 20. The reason why I'm writing in multiple ways is because I see it, right? Or 6 to 20. So this is what I know. And now I'm using process of elimination to determine what is correct. A says 6 to 14. That is incorrect because it is not 6 to 20. B says 14 to 20. That is not correct because, first of all, it's 6 yellow. So that is not correct. C says 6 to 20. And because it is 6 to 20, that is correct. D says 14 over 6, and that's not the same as 6 to 20. And E says 6 to 20, which is the same. Okay, this is worth 2 points. Let's complete the table to show the number of black and white marbles in a bag, assuming the relationship is proportional. If the relationship is proportional, I divide up by the same number and I multiply up because I'm going from a small number to a big number, and divide down. The only answer choice that can tell me what is proportional is the given answer. And I know 2 times 13. Yep. So all of these times 13. So I know 1 times 13 is 13, 2 times 13, 3 times 13, 4 times 13, 5 times 13, 6 times 13. So I did that. The unit rate of black marbles to white marbles is to get from black to white, and unit rate is here, is 13 to 1. Wait, that may be a little off. So I'm gonna look at, so the unit rate of black, this is a unit rate, but I think this is the unit rate of white marbles to black. For every white marble, there are 13 black marbles. What about when there are 1 black marble? So for 1 black marble, so let's just say it is 13 to 1. Let's say this is 1. 13 divided by 1. Divided by 13. So the unit rate of black marbles to white marbles would be 1 to 113, because that means for every 1 black marble. I'll double check this because I know unit means 1 and it said black to white. So the unit rate of, like, for example, right here, the unit rate of price to the unit rate of the price of 1 shirt. It tells you that right here. It doesn't tell you. Yeah, it doesn't tell you for like the unit rate for each marble for the black marbles. It said black to white. So it could be 13 to 1. I think it could be 1 to 13 too. I'll double check when it's cooked, but stay tuned for that. 13 to 1, we're just gonna go with that, or 1 to 1 or 13. For every 1, there's 1/13th, but for every 13 black marbles, there's 1. It is a rate, it is a unit rate. We'll figure it out. Find each ratio based on the diagram. So 3 times 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You saw I just did that? I didn't count this all. I said, okay, so the length times the width. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 is 18. 1, 2, 3, 4 by 2, which is 8. So the ratio of, okay, crackers. I know this is crackers. So I know crackers, there are 18. Apples, there are 8. So I'm finding O ratios in simplest. form, which means I have to simplify. A says apples to crackers. I know that there are 8 apples and 18 crackers, but it says simplest, so 8 to 18. The biggest number that goes into 8 and 18 is 2, so 2 over 2, right? I'm trying to figure out the smallest number, so I'm dividing 18 over 8 over 18 by 2, which would give me 4/9. So I will put 4/9. The ratio of crackers to all snacks, that tells me that I need to go back to my note and put all. 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 26. Crackers to all. So crackers to all, there are 18 crackers and there are 26 in all. Same thing. The biggest number with 18 and 26, I would say 2. Sometimes when you don't know, you just keep dividing by 2 over 2 until you know. So 18 to 26 divided by 2 over 2, which is 9 to 13. And last but not least, all to apples. I know that there are 26 in total, and there are 8 apples, but I got to divide it by 2 over 2, which would give me 13 over fourths. But I could simplify that even more. I don't have to simplify it, but yeah. So 13 to 4. And that's how we do those. Have a great day. Bye-bye.